Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Force Chatter. We are here on, this is what, May 23rd. I was going to say 13th. It's episode number 13.
To roll us back in time.
Right? I did. So we are here tonight with the usual cast and crew members here. We have Eric, we have Tim, and we have Tom. We haven't been together a couple of weeks, I think, right? We've been missing somebody here at least some point for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like the band broke up or something. I wasn't here last week, and then we had Mother's Day, and then I think we didn't record the week before that, I think.
Come on, I can't quit you. You know that.
I know.
All the tires are back on the car. We're good to go.
Right? You're going to drive it right off the cliff.
And the good thing is we actually have some news this week.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, by the way, for those listening on audio, so this is episode 13. There was an episode 12. It was on YouTube. It was our special coverage of our role-playing game from Fantasy Flight Games.
Yes,
where
I thank you very much for running that show for us, or running that.
Lou and Carrie were wandering around the streets of Mashuda trying not to die. And we're going to finish that session this week.
We came close to dying in the D&D campaign than we did in this. We were pretty good in this one.
You guys did okay.
Okay, listen to him. Yeah, thanks.
I was going to say you guys didn't suck as bad as you did in the role-playing game thing in Dungeons & Dragons, but then I was one of the guys laid out on the ground in the D&D session,
I think we all were at some point. And,
I think we were.
The big benefit of this campaign was nobody was trying to shoot a bow and arrow.
That's true.
So
you guys actually had like ranged weapon skill.
Yeah.
Both on your sheet and in actual gameplay.
I know. I hit something. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, you hit something. Tim's heart.
Oh, poor Tim.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tim.
Hashtag too soon. Anyway, so if you want to watch that, head over to randomchatter.com/YouTube. And we are going to have a second episode where we finish up that session and begin the next adventure module, which will last probably 3 or 4 sessions. And then we have a big module after that. So if you guys think this is something you want to continue seeing, let us know. And maybe we'll spin off a whole different playlist in YouTube and a new show name, and we'll bring you guys our role-playing game. We'll see, but let us know either way. So sorry, just wanted to get that plug in there, Lou.
Yeah, no, that was great. I was going to thank you anyways as part of our opening here, but you did it for me, so it was great.
Well, thank you
thanked
for
yourself for me. Yeah. Well, let's get right into the news here. I don't know when this popped up, but it was a couple of days ago, wasn't it? The rumors happened for this, and nothing's official from Lucasfilm that I've seen. I don't know if you guys can fill in any more details on that, but apparently things are either being canceled or the project is shelved or things are just at a standstill for Rangers of the New Republic.
Well, what we got officially from Lucasfilm is that Dave Filoni's been promoted.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
but wasn't he kind of like?
But then they backed off. They clarified and said they were just updating the website.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't he kind of promoted like last year?
Right, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, they said
now it's finally getting around to updating the.
But if the
job description,
how coincidental is the timing that when we're hearing Rangers of the New Republic is no longer actively being worked on and may be shelved entirely, all of a sudden the internet erupts with congratulations for Dave Filoni and his promotion. And I mean, talk about misdirection. Wow, this is some Warner Brothers stuff right here. Like, this is
today this is the week that we will finally get the website updated.
Right.
Yeah, Frank, if you could just go ahead and pull the trigger on that update this week, please. That would be
right. Yeah, exactly.
Really
that was
great.
A discussion in the background somewhere.
Noon on Wednesday.
We're not going to tell you exactly when to do it, but watch Variety.com and you'll know. You'll know when it's the right time.
Yeah, I mean, does anyone believe that Lucasfilm was actually behind on updating their website? I mean,
not for something like that.
No.
Nah.
So strange.
So I guess congratulations to Dave belatedly.
Yeah.
Very, very belatedly. I mean, it's a good thing. And there's actually been, I mean, I know this isn't our main topic for this week. There's been a lot of discussion about what the implications are for Lucasfilm going forward with this, but they're pretty much the same things that we said a year ago, was that he's kind of rising up to fill George Lucas's spot as like the main creative. What's the word for it? When you trek out into the mountains to go up and see the wise man up on the hill, and he like tells you what's wrong with your life, and then you go back to civilization again, thinking that you wasted your vacation time. Like what's the
Oracle?
Oracle. Yes. Oracle. So
yeah.
He will be basically the creative oracle for Lucasfilm, and you know, we said that a year ago, but I think people are finally starting to get it now, and that's a good thing, right? Like we're happy with Dave filling George's shoes.
And there's apparently in the position, the title that he was promoted into, there's three of them who are in the same title. So Doug Chang is one of them, which insanely well deserved. If folks don't know Doug Chang, give him a quick look up. He's on social media. You'll definitely find him all over the place.
He was the best of all of the pod race flag bearers, and that's where he really made his mark.
He is an incredible visionary. I mean, as an artist, basically any new stuff that you see or that you have seen out of Star Wars for years has the concept of it and truly the evolution of all those things have largely come out of his mind. And I'm sure he'll be speaking at Celebration in one, if not, more panels. If you're going to Celebration next May, see him. I will be in that room as well. I'm a huge fan of his. I never ever breaking news.
We're not hosting the panel.
I never turned down an opportunity to hear and see Doug Chang. Mm-hmm. He's just incredible. And then the third person, I'm sorry, I don't remember who the third person is.
I keep wanting to say John Lasseter, but it's not John Lasseter. That's Pixar.
No, it would make sense.
Yeah,
it's John Knoll, I think.
Yeah.
Chang always does like a drawing, like educational panel. They're always real small, but he just starts. If you
got a big enough projector, the drawings would be bigger. Like you can blow them up on.
That's exactly what it. But he'll start from nothing, just a blank screen, and he'll be like, I like a bulldozer, part, like a bulldozer track. Let's start with that, and then within an hour, it's this insane thing that looks like it came right off the screen in Star Wars. So don't miss that if anything like that's on the docket.
It makes me go home and tear up all the little sketches I've ever done in my entire life.
F.
My son says, "Dad, I drew you a picture." I'm like, "That's horrible. You need to go watch Chang and see what he does. That's what you need to aspire to."
Chang, you're a child in a mask.
Tear all my son's things off the fridge.
The young,
right.
Well, but you think about it. So it's interesting the timing of that, because I think universally that was going to be news, if it was news, or even perceived news, that was going to be praised. I don't know of anybody that is really a vocal critic of Filoni's. I mean,
and that's why I kind of wonder about the timing.
Very curious.
Yeah. It's fortuitous timing.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder.
Well, I think my thought on it is whether the Filoni stuff is, a website refresh or just something else. I think Disney did not fully anticipate the sort of waves that Gina Carano's exit was going to make, and I don't mean like justified waves or anything like that, but just a lot of like very angry, very toxic people that were upset at the firing. And I'm not lumping everyone together, but there were a lot of just really hateful people out there that got up in arms over it. And so you can imagine if there's a rumor coming out like the one we're talking about with, the show that she's supposed to be the centerpiece of getting canceled, the last thing that they wanted is that to be the narrative for the entire week. So why not just update the website?
Yeah. So that brings us back to the actual news, which, if you haven't heard, is that Variety.com, I think they're the ones that leaked it, pointed out, as you said, Lou, a couple of days ago, that Rangers of the New Republic is no longer being, I think the wording was actively in development. Mm-hmm. and that there was no further news. Basically, it was that nobody ever said canceled. Nobody ever said like being thrown away, but that there was no forward movement on it whatsoever, as if the whole thing had been shelved. Now, I have to think, if they had a good idea for the show, I have to wonder whether they would just shelve the whole thing permanently over the loss of one person. They've done no promotional material. They've done no explanation. We officially have no idea who the show is about. The implication was that because Cara Dune was made a Ranger, that it would be about her. But we've also got the two X-Wing pilots, one of whom was the one who made her the Ranger. Why not just change it up? Have it be about them going around and making a new group of Rangers, or as we said before, bring another, like if you want to bring an existing character in, because it is hard to start out with just a clean slate with nobody knowing anything about, I mean, even The Mandalorian, we had basically an IG-88 ripoff that in the pilot episode, everybody recognizes him from Empire Strikes Back. The guy looks like Boba Fett with, a shinier outfit, and we get a little baby that looks like Yoda. So yeah, not characters people know, but three things that are really iconic that everybody can recognize right off the bat. With Rangers of the New Republic, you've got a clean slate. Nobody knows anything about any of these characters, which is why you do these introductions. And, we got Ahsoka introduced, we got Bo-Katan introduced, Clone Wars, but, and then we've got Cara Dune introduced in The Mandalorian so that they can then go off and do their own spin-off things. That's a thing that network television's been doing for decades now.
Right.
It
makes it easier. It's
yeah,
it's got a built-in audience, but the built-in audience is already there for this, really. I mean, you could bring in new characters set in that same world and timeline and still have it, go forward. And, looking back at when they got rid of Gina Carano, I didn't see as much disruption, if you'd want to say, to that than I expected. I mean, I expected to be a lot more talk about that, and it really just kind of went away quietly.
I should have sent you to different YouTube channels, Lou.
Do you have a Cara Dune action figure?
I do, but it's not in the box anymore.
You can still capitalize on the outrage there.
Right. I just think that whether it's bringing Hera in or just starting from a clean slate and developing new characters, and you can have other people cross into it at some point. I think that it's okay. Like, keep the show around. Whatever the concept was, keep the concept and just use a different character.
I don't see how it was just so pivotal that it had to revolve around Cara Dune. I just, especially as you said, Eric, they really never officially said who it was going to be. I mean, kind of everyone assumed that it would be based on the character arc that we saw in The Mandalorian. But ultimately, in the end, who cares? Give us somebody else. Existing character, even if it's a new character. And yeah, like you said, it's easier to kind of shoehorn in an existing character because you have familiarity. But also, it's the Star Wars universe, and there's so many intersections of familiarity that they can give us, even if they start us off with a brand new character in the central role. There's so many things. I mean, of course, the show's going to start on Tatooine. Duh. We all know that. Doesn't matter who the character is. There's going to be sand everywhere, Eric. And, so I mean, there's so much around it that's going to be familiar to us. And within 2 or 3 episodes, everyone is going to be totally bought in because we're going to see this incredibly badass character who is out there on a mission. We're going to know exactly what they're about. They're going to give us everything we need.
Yeah.
I have faith in it.
It'd be one thing if they had posters made up already and action figures and a trailer and all that kind of stuff. They've got nothing. They have a logo and a title card. That's it.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want with that. I mean, you can put Chuck Norris up there.
Well,
half
if
our
you put
audience isn't
Chuck
gonna
Norris up there,
get that reference.
they just shut down the rest of Disney Plus because all you need is a Chuck Norris show.
Yeah.
Because it's Chuck Norris.
I'm trying really hard to not go to Chuck Norris jokes. I'll refrain.
Chuck Norris is a streaming service.
Yes.
I mean, in fact, they would have to change the name of the streaming service
to Chuck Norris. Yeah, Chuck Plus. Okay.
Yeah.
They'd have to change the name of the technology. We wouldn't be streaming you television. We'd be chucking it at you.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
It also makes me wonder, I mean, if this were truly canned because Gina Carano isn't involved, they could have pulled that trigger a month ago.
Yeah.
I wonder whether they've gotten a little bit deeper into the development and just thought, this isn't working. This isn't fleshing out the way we had hoped. All we've got is a title card, so maybe we put this on the back burner. If we come back to it,
that's true.
They haven't done anything to it, really. I mean, this is all rumors have been leaked out.
Right.
Right.
There's been no official announcement, so we don't know if they canned it a month ago or,
Sure.
they just, hey, if we don't say anything about it, maybe they'll just forget we even announced this.
Yeah. Because
And we don't know what work they have or have.
Star Wars fans are very
already done
forgiving.
on it.
Yeah, we're forgiving, and we're very quick to forget like the slightest mention of anything ever.
Exactly.
Well, but you know what's going to happen? It's going to get around. This will be May of next year. We'll kind of be thinking of it, but then they'll be like, shut up and watch this trailer for the new Mandalorian series and this Rogue One or Rogue Squadron trailer and all this other stuff. And we'll be like, what was Rangers of the New Republic? That name doesn't ring a bell at all.
Yeah, come June, when we realize we didn't get that, there'll be all this talk on the internet about where was Rangers of the New Republic? What happened to that? Yeah.
We'll see unreleased footage. But I mean, that's a good point, though. If they think for some reason it is going to fail, then, I mean, this is the ideal time to get rid of it. Like, don't put any more time and effort and money into it if it looks like you can't do anything with it. But
there weren't even any names attached to it creatively, were there? Just the logo.
Not that were announced.
Yeah.
It's just, it's Star Wars. I kind of feel like you can do just about anything with Star Wars. We had a Mandalorian nobody's heard of running around the galaxy babysitting a baby Yoda for 2 seasons. If you would have told me that a year before it came out, I would have laughed you out of the room. Like, it's just dumb, right?
Now I've got them both on my shelf.
Yeah. Right? So
in multiple formats.
It just, you can do anything with Star Wars. I have a hard time thinking that something as generic as Rangers, meaning you've got a group of people who, they can come and go as they need to. Of the New Republic, you have an entire era of an entire faction of people. Now, the dominant faction of the galaxy, you can do almost literally anything with that title. You can completely redesign the show at this point. You're so early that there's no way to say, well, the concept just doesn't work, so we're going to throw it out. Just change the concept. The concept hasn't been released. Yeah. Like, what's there to lose?
Yeah, I agree.
What I hope, the concept sounded cool, but what I hope is that we get content set in that time frame. That's what I really want. If it's a show like this, as has been theorized and stuff based on the title, that'd be great. But honestly, I just want more in that span.
Yeah.
The early New Republic stuff in whatever form. So if there's something that fills that space, that'll make me happy.
Yeah. I mean, the sequel era is pretty much dead in the water. The High Republic era, honestly, I'm having a hard time really getting attached to it. It's fine. But, and the original trilogy era, it's like it's just been beaten to death. I want to see where things go after the original trilogy. And I think that they're doing great. I mean, this is good stuff. Yeah. Keep it going.
Yeah, and I think, the 2 areas you want to fill in, I mean, that New Republic era is fantastic and ripe with, things they could do with it. But also, I mean, like we talked last week, it was just Tim and I, that era now that we're getting with the Bad Batch stuff, where we're doing, how things came to be the way they are and how that society changed into what it became is fascinating to me. And those are 2 things you could probably expand on quite a bit.
And they parallel, right? You've got the establishment of the New Republic after the Empire, but then you've also got the establishment of the Empire after it's not the old Republic, the regular Republic, adolescent Republic. I don't know. But, you've got, we kind of understand how the Empire was created, but not how it was built and where things went from there, and kind of the change over from a system of government to an oppressive dictatorship. We just kind of assume, oh yeah, it's obvious, and then jump ahead 18 years. So the Bad Batch, I like the world building we're seeing there. And then I also like the world building that we're seeing with The Mandalorian. So I don't know. I really hope that they keep Rangers of the New Republic around. What do you guys think? If you had to make a prediction, what do you think they're going to do? What do you want them to do?
Quite frankly, I would love a squadron style show, just a fighter pilot type show.
Yeah.
The infancy of the New Republic, the challenges faced with the the demilitarization of the rebellion, and and it doesn't have to be pilot. Like, my personal preference would be starfighter pilots, but it can be anything like that. But just showing the government sort of transitioning and straight. And I thought that's what Rangers of the New Republic was going to give us in a really cool way, sort of this frontier look at the new government and the kind of faces that were on the front lines trying to bring order to the back to the wild parts of the galaxy.
Right.
Yeah, I think that there's just so many. We look at Bad Batch, and we see these kind of niche pieces of information that were being shown and what's being shared with us. And I think that a show like this could do something very similar, showing the Republic in its formation, from this very intimate perspective, whether it's one person or a small group of people in the fringes of the galaxy, where there really is no full-on law and order. There's so much potential for seeing those interactions, seeing what the perspectives are of the average citizen that's out there. And maybe they were part of the Empire. Maybe it's a planet that never was actually part of the Empire. And, now they're kind of exploring some potential, membership or inclusion with the Republic. There's so much possibility that's out there for them to explore. I mean, the door is wide open. There's a ton of doors wide open. You can walk down the hallway and every freaking door is wide open. Go for it. Go for it.
And I hope they continue this show. I hope it finds its home somewhere in Disney Plus. I mean, this was one of when they put that title card up there and showed all the different shows they were working on. I mean, this was probably one of the ones I was really, really excited about out of everything they announced.
Right.
It'd be a shame if they let it go with no conversation. I mean, there needs to be something official from Lucasfilm at some point, even if it's just,
I mean,
hey,
they
we're transitioning somewhere else.
Committed to it.
Right.
Yeah. They made an announcement.
I mean,
they have to unannounce it if they're going to drop it. Like, there has to be, like you said, there has to be something. Like,
I mean, this isn't like we talked about before, where they say, "Hey, we have a new project. We're attaching this person to it." No, this was an announcement of a show.
Right.
They
have to say, we're not going to do this.
Lou,
we're going to do something else instead, and we're going to take those ideas and merge them into this other project.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny, Lou, because I was actually just going to say this. While it's not exactly the same thing, it's actually reminiscent of that pattern, though, of, hey, we're going to make an announcement, and hey, here's this thing. We're going to get everyone excited and talking about it, and then months later, we're going to pull the plug on it. But even though we've actually announced no real news about it, it's this continued pattern that Lucasfilm has. What the hell are they doing? I don't. And in this case, we do have this Gina Carano cloud that's hanging over us with it. But really, it was that critical that it hinged on one person?
I don't think it is.
Yeah, I mean, did you, regardless of her blow up, did you think that she could anchor a show herself, a live action show? No way.
No.
I mean, yeah, she wasn't a bad actress in the role.
No, she was fine. But yeah, I think it needed, and I think it was going to have been an ensemble cast. I think that she was just going to be one of many there. I don't think she was necessarily even going to lead any particular group or something. And I'm not saying that she couldn't, but
ensemble casts work better. We even have a show called The Mandalorian. It's not just Din Djarin. I mean,
right.
You know,
I mean,
it has to be interesting.
The Bad Batch, you've got Clone Wars, you've got Rebels, you've got Resistance. Those are all, I mean, you've got the original trilogy. Those were all ensemble casts. It wasn't Luke. It was Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, R2-D2, and C-3PO. We followed all of them.
Yep.
So
it's Eric, Lou, Tom, and Tim.
Yes. Well, 3.5.
Wow, who's the half?
Is this the episode where you announce that I'm getting fired?
No,
is it okay
I was
that
the
I'm
half.
almost
Just
excited
you see
about
me from
that?
the waist up. I thought that trying to lose weight, I figure I'll just chop the whole bottom half off and, you know.
Darth Maul.
Yeah, exactly. Yup. So I think that, back to your point again, Tim, I don't think it does hinge on one person. I think that we're in a holding pattern. I think they've paused. I really, truly think that they said, okay, we had this one direction we were going to go in. We need to change directions again. I would like to think that it's on pause because they want to do it carefully. After some of the earlier issues, the Boba Fett movie with Josh Trank, the changing of directors on episode 9, the just overall lack of direction for episodes 7 through 9 in general, the change of directors, 75%, 74.5% of the way through Solo. I would like to think that if they have to make a big change all of a sudden, they're going to pause and consider things and think it through and not just have it be a knee-jerk reaction. I think this is exactly what we've been asking them to start doing when they have to make changes. So I'm not going to complain about this because to me, it's okay to pause and reassess and say, okay, we know we want to move forward, but we want to do it carefully. We want to make sure we're moving forward in the right direction, not just moving forward in a direction. I think that's okay. I think that's what we want them to do. So this news doesn't worry me, and it doesn't make me believe that we're not going to get this series. I think we're just not going to get the series yet. I think that
I would rather have this happen now
and that's the other thing.
Solo style.
I mean, the timing for it's not bad.
Yeah. We've seen, as you said, Lou, nothing. And where my mindset is at, we all have multiple layers of things to get excited for, and this is just a logo that's going to fall to the back burner now, and sort of a concept for a show that the only details exist in what folks like us have batted around in our own fan theories. And so, if you told me I had a choice between right now or mid development when they're realizing, they're shooting or they're into scripts and they're like, this just stinks, then I choose now. And
it's definitely smart of them to make the decision now around the time Lucasfilm's updating their website. Then
it's just important business things.
But no, I agree.
They had to update the website because of Celebration news. So they turned to the webmaster and said, hey, if you still remember the password, crack open the website. We got a couple of items for you to update.
I hope they put
it's crazy. They're updating stuff on that website multiple times a day. Are
they?
Okay.
I'll be honest, I don't check the website that often. I mean, a lot of it's
they do.
Fluff.
It's busy. They put a lot of stuff up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want them to put up an article saying that Celebration tickets are back on sale because I was not able to get tickets the first time around, and now I can if they let me. So I don't know. I got my fingers crossed. For those who haven't heard, Celebration has, been rescheduled. It's back on, etc. So, I am so desperate to get back to a celebration, and I missed the last one. So, but so one other thing, Tom, I had not heard a word about this being, so I heard about it a while back, but I hadn't heard anything about it being talked about currently. And then you said people were talking about a Skywalker series in conjunction with this news about the Rangers of the New Republic. What have you heard?
Here, I thought you let me off the hook.
No, we got all the way through the discussion.
You have a memory of an
transitioned out entirely.
Right.
See, this goes back to my point, Lou. Star Wars fans, you just make a slight reference to something, and we remember it.
I'm the Lucasfilm in this.
You know that time Darth Vader stubbed his toe? Just kidding. And then for the next 6 years, the fans are obsessed with when are we going to see the episode where Darth Vader stubs his toe? We don't let things go. But anyway, so Tom, yeah, no, you're not off the hook.
So this is all from assorted, typical internet sources, but there was a rumor around the turn of the year, January-ish, that there was a Skywalker show in development. I think the rumor originated with Big Shiny Robot, which, not a bad website. It's not your standard fare clickbait or anything, but in any event, it was their source, and they were talking about a Luke Skywalker show that was in early development, had not been announced. And there's been persistent rumors batting around. I don't know how much credence there is to it, but Sebastian Stan being the name being thrown around as Luke Skywalker, or the target to play Luke Skywalker.
Winter Soldier, for people who don't recognize the actor's name.
Yeah, I called him, before we started recording, I called him Sebastian Shaw, so that's my mea culpa. He's back, baby. back in action. But anyways, so there's nothing new on the rumor itself, but it started to I think get the dust cleaned off of it, if you will, with talk of that series possibly frog hopping over Rangers of the New Republic as a priority item to be developed. Whether that's true, I have no clue. If you were to give me a choice between the two, my first question would be, well, when are you talking about in Luke Skywalker's life? Because I think my answer is different depending on when we're talking. If we're talking about Luke like we saw him in the season finale of The Mandalorian, yes, I would take that. If we're talking about sequel trilogy Luke or something else, I don't even know if I want to see Jedi Training Academy Luke. I want to see Luke fully out there as a knight, learning and trying to figure out his way in the galaxy, which is what I want to see Luke and Grogu, but that's in my own head. So I think it was just coincidence.
Yeah,
it happened to be something that people wanted to talk about again.
Okay.
So
I was curious about that though. Would you guys want that? I don't know that I would. I kind of want to see stuff other than Luke. I love Luke, and I loved Luke's story arc throughout the saga. I mean, that's what I grew up with. But I don't know that if you look back at Legends, a lot of what interested me about the Legends novels were more about the world building and where everybody else went. I mean, yeah. Luke, you kind of know who he is. You know what he does. The only point in canon that I'm interested in regarding Luke is the biggest point of conflict in his adult life at this point, which is the academy and losing it and then deciding to go off somewhere else, because really storytelling is about conflict, right? It's about it's about the struggle with conflict, and then it's about overcoming the conflict, and it's about what you learn from the conflict. And so I guess to me, even if you did like a Jedi Academy sort of thing, you have to show the failing of it, but then we kind of know what the ultimate end of that story is. So I don't know that it would be that much fun. And then individual character struggles through the Jedi Academy. Okay. But then you still have to have something that's on an epic scale. If you're talking about a group of Jedi, I mean, when you've got one Jedi, not even really a Jedi, and you had the epic scale of the original trilogy, how do you go to a group of Jedi and then not do something epic with it? I don't know that I want to see that in a show, really. And I don't really just want to see Luke wandering around the galaxy with Grogu doing the Mandalorian thing, except it's the Jedi version. I'm okay not seeing a Luke show. What about you, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting, and obviously there's a gap in years that people are interested in. There has been ever since his appearance at the end of this last season of The Mandalorian with him getting Grogu, that people are like, well, hey, now there's some perceived conflict in the canon of, he has Grogu, and did he train Grogu? And if so, then Kylo Ren wasn't, his first student. How does all this line up? That kind of thing. So, I think that, of course, as Star Wars fans do, we seem to glom on to little things, and we take them very, very literally, and we establish them as canon. And I think that they could do a great series, that they could tell a good part of that story.
I thought,
and obviously, I think the most interesting part of Luke's story, and really the most significant missing part of his story, really is kind of those academy years.
So wasn't Ben the first student in the academy? That doesn't mean it was Luke's first student.
He says he took Ben and 12 students and started an academy.
I don't remember it saying
you're spot on.
Yeah. So Grogu still could have been his first student in it, not
sure
contradicting.
Sans the academy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been his first pupil, but not.
Or his first Padawan versus Grogu, who, had several instructors before Luke, apparently, too. But, Lou,
True.
I want to hear what you have to say, too. But, Tom, you've got to duck out?
Yeah, I've got to go shortly, help with baby-related things. But
fun.
Yeah, I don't know. My worry with a Luke show, this is the last piece that I'll share, I guess, is that we keep going to the same well. Yeah. And what a Luke Skywalker show means, whether it's the most amazing thing that you've ever seen or not, is that we are not getting some other story that could be creative. It could be introducing us to a Din Djarin, like a Grogu, a legitimately great mainstay character that we're probably not going to get if Luke Skywalker is the main show. Right. That's not to say an ensemble show couldn't be possible, but at some point you got to change the tread on the tires, and that's nothing against Luke Skywalker, but I think if Star Wars is going to feel fresh and relevant for generations to come, we can't stick with the centerpiece of the entire franchise being a character that debuted in 77. There's got to be some new lifeblood constantly pumped into it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to hate any kind of Luke Skywalker content. I'll just be a little sad that it probably took the place of something else.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Tom.
I will see y'all soon.
Have a good night.
All right.
May the force be with you.
Have a good night.
Later, man.
So,
my take on this would be the Luke Skywalker. I mean, I agree with Tom 100%. I don't really want to keep going back there, and I think this got a lot of traction back when it was first talked about, because there was a couple of mock-ups that some fans did of Sebastian Stan's face on, Luke Skywalker from Jedi, and putting his face there, and it looked like this could really work. He looks like he could be the role from when Mark Hamill did that. Do I want to see it? Kind of, but again, it was real popular when he appeared in The Mandalorian, because it was like, wow, it was like a big reveal, and we're all like, that was really cool. But do I need to see a whole show about him? Nah, I don't know. I mean, I really want to know how things evolved. But if we got some other story that was just as good, who might say, yeah, we have to have that type thing. I'd rather see us move on and get some new material and go in a different direction, instead of having something that people can come back at and say, well, that's not the way it was in my head, and it's not the that's not the story I wanted to hear told. So I'm gonna poo-poo this until I get what I really want.
Yeah,
that's my big fear, that everybody's got their own conceived notion, including myself, of what happened in that time and how we think that progressed. And whatever we get on screen isn't going to be what we all individually thought it was. So we're going to be, more critical of it than we probably should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing that. It's not a possibility that I'm like totally excited about, at least in terms of it being a rumor. If they were to come around and announce it, I would say, hey, this is going to be fantastic. I would then be excited about seeing it. But as a rumor, I'm not really going to, sit and dwell on it for that long, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I think it would be fun. I think it would be really informative for that window of time.
Mm-hmm.
Is it necessary for us to have it? No, not necessarily.
I agree. I'm sure it would be really good. And if they announce it, great. And I'm sure we'll like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think back to Tom's point, like, is it what I want to see? Is it the choice I would make? No, I would choose something that's going to expand the world building and not just fill in gaps I'm curious about with one character, because I feel like that character's story's been told. So if he's going to appear in other people's stories, that's fine. That's how life works. But, and the little bits and pieces I'm curious about that can be handled in books, or, Pablo can stand up and say, oh yeah, no, Luke did that on his 43rd birthday, whatever it is. It doesn't mean you need a whole show about it, a whole series.
Right.
So if they do it, I'll like it, but I think it's a missed opportunity for doing something else. The production money, the time, the resources.
So let me ask you guys this. We had that big reveal from the investors call where they showed all the shows that are, in the works, and there was no Luke Skywalker show, and yet there was this Ranger show that apparently is not moving forward very fast at the moment. Do they course correct that at Celebration next year? Do we get something showing status of shows that are in process and maybe more hard dates, and also, hey, we're making a course correction on this show and going in this direction instead? Do we get that kind of thing, or does this just?
I mean, that's a good question about what do we get at Celebration next year.
Yeah, I'm guessing that we will. This is the first Celebration for Disney Plus, and I think that there will, along with being panels on some of the individual shows, whether they are stuff that is ongoing or stuff that is in production or whatever, I would imagine that there is going to be kind of a programming update type of thing for Disney Plus to say, hey, some of these things we've talked about, here's one or two new announcements that's going to, make everyone go crazy. And of the things that we have talked about, here's the status of them. Here is, what stage of production are these things in? And maybe even some potential, I won't even say dates, I'll say timeframes. I kind of think that they have to do that. I'm with so many things in the works or set to be in the works. Something like that seems to make sense. I mean, if I were Lucasfilm, I would say, hey, yeah, absolutely. That's a panel we need to do. And that's also going to be a big panel because that they're going to announce, like I said, one or two new shows that they haven't announced yet. And they're going to fill their large room with that.
I think that, and this is another reason I'm really desperate to get tickets. I think this next Celebration, like you said, it's the first Disney Plus one. I think the panels, if you look back at previous Celebration panels, you've got the A tier, which is the opening ceremonies, the closing ceremonies, the announcements about the big films, like when we had the one for Rogue One, things like that. And then you've got the kind of the more behind the scenes things, like here's how we do, Doug Chang, here's how we do the art development, and here's how we do sound effects, and et cetera. And then you've got the celebrity things like Anthony Daniels, and then you've got the fan panels, which, by the way, some of them are really, really good. I think this time around we're going to get a lot more A-level panels because we're going to get whatever's going on with the movies. We're going to get one on The Mandalorian. We're going to get probably a couple on The Mandalorian. We're going to get one on the Book of Boba Fett. We're probably going to get one on some level about Ahsoka.
Yeah.
we've
got more projects, plus you have more people than involved in those projects.
Exactly.
So, it opens up an opportunity for potentially even more than one panel on a particular project, because you may have a production panel and then you may have a panel with cast with cast members on there, and both of those are huge draws. People want to see the celebrities, but then people also want to know the behind the scenes stuff or what's coming up, that kind of thing, that aren't always revealed in the in the cast type of panels. So it's really, I mean, there's like an explosive opportunity here for content. I totally agree, Eric. There's going to be a lot.
Here's what I predict.
There's really going to be a lot.
As far as specifics go. So we're going to get the Book of Boba Fett December of this year. I'd have to check. I forget exactly when the Andor series is premiering. But my understanding is that that's going to be a multi-season show. So I think we're going to get something about Andor, some sort of, I'm talking specifically news, reveals, new footage, new trailers, that sort of thing. We're going to get something about Boba Fett. I don't think they're just going to do a one-off season for that. I could be wrong. I don't think they will. We're going to get whatever's going to be for season 3 of The Mandalorian, which I'm guessing is going to involve Mandalore, Bo-Katan, etc. So that's 2. Number 3 is going to be whatever's going on next with Andor. Number 4, we're going to get something about the Kenobi series, probably a trailer, because they've already been doing filming on it. What else? We're going to get probably some sort of clarification about either Ahsoka and or Rangers of the New Republic. We will get something about one of the films, probably whichever film's coming up first. I'm guessing maybe... What do we... So the Rogue Squadron one is going to be the third of the next 3. Is it the Taika Waititi? Is that going to be the first of the 3?
I don't know. I assume the Rogue Squadron was going to be the first one because that was announced as a title.
But the date was
That's the only one we have.
Way off, though. The date I thought was for the film's release was much further down the road. I thought. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember the dates because they seem so far off in general. I just
either way,
didn't think, oh yeah, it's coming up soon.
We'll get something about the movie, a title, a basic story, some concept art. We're gonna get something. So that's like what I lost count now. That's like what 5 or 6 major upcoming things, and that's not including any animated stuff like Bad Batch or whatever new animated series they bring up next. We still got that thing about droids coming up. There are some things that people are forgetting. That was brought up during that announcement call too. So I think that where we normally get like one big reveal or maybe 2 big reveals, I just listed 5 or 6 right there. Plus whatever surprise thing that we're not going to be able to predict that they normally do.
Sure. Well, I mean, the one thing, the one thing that the pandemic's done for us is what was supposed to take place in 2020 is, well, that too, it's supposed to take place in 2020. Now it's taking place in 2022. And while not a lot of production was happening in the beginning of the pandemic stuff, a lot of brain power was being put towards this stuff, So, that's what we got. I mean, the investors call was what, December? Or when was that? Was that the fall?
I think it was December.
Yeah, seems about right.
Yeah, it was December. But so, that doesn't seem that long ago, even though it was, 6 months ago. And, to me, it's just, this is so much stuff in the works, and they've had so much more time to think about this stuff going forward. Now, what they can, whether or not they have something to show us from this stuff is another question. But, having that I'll call it the Marvel style screen being showed in the investors call with all the title cards was like, okay, now things are looking up, because up until then, like, Tim said before, we talked about this in the past. Oh, we get a project we're working on with so-and-so, and then you don't hear anything about it. And then, oh, we get a project working with this thing, and oh, no, that guy's gone too. This is the first concrete thing we've seen out of Disney/Lucasfilm in a long time.
Yeah. And
it's just, it still makes me excited, even though we've got, some negative news this week about maybe this show is not going forward. To me, if they're not moving forward with it, they may have just said that, but they maybe it's just not going forward at this time.
I think that's what it is.
So we have no idea what's going to happen when they come out with a press release saying, hey, we're shelving this project, or hey, we're moving forward in this direction with this. That'll be something that we can really sink our teeth into. Up until now, I think this is just no movement. So maybe it is in a status of hiatus until further notice, but I don't think they're just going to pack it in and say, no, we're never going to do this.
I think they'll do something with it. They created the show in the first place because they saw an opportunity for storytelling and a gap that they could fill with something interesting. I think that gap still exists, and I think the opportunity still exists. So I think we're going to get something in there. But we are just shy of an hour, so we should wrap this up. Any last thoughts on the situation with Rangers of the New Republic? What the real story is, what they're going to do, what we want to see? Like I said, I think we're going to get it, just not yet.
I'm good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Lots of reasons to be optimistic. There's still lots of good stuff coming down the pipe. Even if we don't get it at all, we just listed a lot of things to get excited about. I'm excited about Celebration. I really want to get back to another convention so desperately. I can't wait. Harass you guys in person for days on end. It's going to be awesome. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Force Chatter. Thank you for joining us. We're sorry we had a hiatus for so long. We will commit to not doing that again for a long time. So
at least another week.
So thank you for hanging out with us. We're going to be back next week to talk about more stuff, maybe Celebration. I don't know. I'm on such a Celebration track right now. Can't wait. But in the meantime, anything you want to talk to us about, anything you want to hear us discuss here on the show, hit us up on Twitter, email, anywhere online. Easiest and fastest way is probably email. Send it to forcechatter@randomchatter.com. And until next week, head over to randomchatter.com, catch our other shows. Don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel and hit the like button while you're there. And we will see you again next Sunday night. Take care, everybody.